Hello friends, welcome to my new video. In this video, we will see how to handle missing data with pandas. Okay, this video is specifically for Python and Pandas enthusiasts who wants to excel in data science. Okay, fine. Now entering into our topic, handling missing data with pandas. Okay, what is missing data? So let's try to understand that first. Basically, like if you remember, if you are trying to register into a website or filling a form, okay, so there are few mandatory fields and there have been few non-mandatory fields. So as a user, you can, it's up to you to fill non-mandatory fields, right? So most of the people do not fill it. So in this situation, like all the fields which you have not filled in will be blank or null or empty, whatever you call it. Similarly, consider an example of an online survey, or you subscribe to some options. The options which you do not subscribe will be taken as blank. So okay, so I will show you an example. I have here few details of my friends, the name, age, location, and destination. Okay, um, so if you look into this example, there are lot of blank fields. Like I do not have a destination for Somu, I do not have a age for Raj, I do not have age for Gautam. So there are a lot of blank fields, all right? So, so this is what we call as missing data. Now the real question arises. So, okay, let the missing data be as it is. Why do you want to handle it? Is the next question, right? So when you go into an advanced concept of data science or machine learning, there are few algorithms where you want to specifically, there are few algorithms which does not accept blank values, or you are forced to put in values into it. So that's the real reason why you want to handle all this missing data. All right. So now, without wasting any time, like we'll quickly jump onto our practical session. So on the first, as I already showed you, I'm trying to import this CSV file of my friends list, and let's see what are the various methods which we have to handle missing data with pandas. All right. So I'm gonna quickly run on my first method. Yeah. So if you see, all now my CSV, I have read my CSV file and I've displayed the first data frame, right? So all the blank values which was in my friends list CSV is now displaying as NaN. NaN is a default value in Python for all the blank values, all right? So here I didn't add destination for Somu and age for Raj. All these values are now filled with NaN, right? So this is how a pandas data frame works, right? So okay, quickly jumping onto our methods. So what is null? So our next method is so our first method is null, and you can also use is na, which both of these methods provides the same purpose. In this example I will show you how is null works. Okay, so from the name you can understand what is null. So I want to so basically this is null returns a boolean value, true or false, based on the data frame which we have over here. So wherever there are null values, it will try to return true. Wherever there are values filled in, it will try to return false. Okay, so I will quickly run on this, and yeah, here it is. So if you see the last row, I have a blank value over here, which so it is returning as true. Wherever I have details, I have details filled in here, so it is returning false. Yeah, so this is how is null works. It will basically return a boolean value of the values in my data frame. So similarly is na will also provide the same purpose, so you can try it on your own. So next method is not null. Okay, so not null is like it's just the vice versa of our previous method is null. So it will just wherever you have null, wherever you do not have null values, it will try to return true. So I'll quickly run this. Yeah, so if you look into the result of my previous method and this method, it's just the vice versa of it. So wherever there are not null values, it will try to return true. Wherever there are null values, it will try to return false. Yeah, so this is how a not null value works. Right. So next we'll look how fill NA method works. So what is fill NA? By the name you can understand we are by the name of the method you can easily understand you're trying to fill some values wherever there are null values. Right. So in this method I am just trying to just blankly I'm just trying to put in a value called 100. So what I'm trying is wherever there are blank values I'm trying to insert value 100 into it. So if I quickly run it, yeah, you see wherever my blank values were found I have added 100, right? And yeah, this is how fill and a works. But okay, let's quickly jump on to next method. So next method is called fill and if you look at to the parameter which I passed here, I passed something called a method equal to pad. So this is something which we use for forward filling. Okay, so what is forward filling is like you will populate the null values based on whatever input you have previously. Okay, so here it will pass me developer, here it will pass me oil miner. So whatever data you have in my previous field, it will try to populate my null values. Why do we need to do that? Because if you look into my output of my previous method, right? So here you passed 100, here you so which doesn't look relevant for a destination, right? So it might look relevant for age column but it doesn't look relevant to a destination. So in order to pass some meaningful values into your fields, you can generally use something called method equal to pad, which is nothing but a forward filling. So I'll run this. Yeah, if you see wherever there were blank values, right? So in this example my null value will be filled with a field called entrepreneur. My destination for Zoom will be filled as developer. Yeah, here it is. So this is how a forward filling works. All right. So next method we have is so vice versa of what we saw in the previous method. So here we saw about forward filling. Here we will see about backward filling. Backward filling is nothing but it will try to fill the data from backwards. So in this example, uh, here it will be tester, here it will be developer. So basically it will try to take the data from my lower field and it will try to fill in here the value will be 40. Yeah, so this is how it works. I will quickly run it. Yeah, so if you look into my output, all the fields wherever my blank was present, it will try to fill in with my previous I mean the value which is present backward. But if you keenly note this method, like there is something called NaN. Why this still NaN? It doesn't filled with any other value because you are so this is called backward filling, right? So if you look into my last row, I do not have any other rows below it, so it doesn't my the program doesn't understand my backward filling method doesn't understand what to fill in here, so it is still a blank value. In case if you need to fill in something, you can directly specify some value into it. All right, so what next is drop NA. So what is drop NA? So from the method you can easily understand you're trying to drop some values. All right, so before going into this axis equal to columns, I will show you how normal drop NA works. So normal drop NA works based on row level. So by default it will drop the values based on the row level. So if I run this, okay, if you see what will the drop NA method do is, so wherever there are no values, right, it will try to drop that particular row. So here I do not have value, here I do not have value. So all the fields wherever there were blank values, it has dropped. So in my total of 9 friends list, there are 4 doesn't have any data. 1, 2, 3. Where's one more? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, here it is. So it has returned me 5 different rows. Okay, so this is how a drop NA works. It is at a row level. Now we'll quickly look into how it works on a column level, right? Yeah, if you see the explanation I have given over here, drop the columns where at least one element is missing. So it is returning me only name and location field. What happened to my age and location? So if you see, I here at least one value is missing. Here at least so here again in age one value is missing. So wherever there are data missing, it will try to ignore that entire column and it will display only the columns wherever the data is present. So in this example, name and location are the only place where my data is present. It is trying to return my name and location column. So this is how drop NA at a column level works. And we'll look at how drop. So next is something called extending the drop in a method. There is something called how equal to you can pass a parameter called how equal to all. So if you look into the explanation I've given over here, drop the rows where all elements are missing. All right, now if I quickly run over here, you can see it returns the entire data list. The reason is because I do not have a blank value here in the name location. So if you look at the last example, like there are only two blank values. So what I'm expecting is wherever there are no values, in case if I do not have any value over here in that situation, this value, this column, this row would have been dropped. But in my example, I do not have any row where all elements are missing. So it is returning me the entire data set. In case if I did not have any values and entire values in any of my data frame, then that row would have been missed. So this is how equal to all works. Next, extending the drop in name method, there is something called threshold equal to threshold, and you can pass some values into it. Okay, so what does threshold means? Keep only the rows with at least two non-NA values. Okay, I will quickly run and show you how this works, right? So again, it returns me entire data set. The reason is because, so I am specifying threshold as 2. Okay, now let me specify something called 3. Now you will understand how this works. So threshold equal to, yeah, if you see now my last row set for, yeah, my this Gautam value is not coming over here. The reason is because there are two null values for this particular row, and I have given the threshold as 3. So it keeps only the rows with at least two non-NA values for a threshold level 2, and for threshold level 3 it will be 3 values. Alright. So my this particular column is ignored. Okay, so this is how threshold works. And the final thing on the drop in is you can define in which columns you have to look for missing values. Here I have taken a subset of columns age and destination. All right. So quickly running this. So I'm looking for the values, blank values in my drop in my two columns age and destination. So if you look into this example, I am looking into null values only where age and destination is. So wherever there are null values, it will ignore that particular row and it will display me the entire data sets. Okay, so this is how subset works. And my next next method is replace. So this works like a normal replace method, normal find and replace. So wherever there are value called 40, I will try to replace it with value called 10. So this is a simple replace method. Yeah, if you see wherever my value was 40, if you see into deep, my value was 40. Now I am passing it as 10. So this is how a replace method works. Okay, and quickly jumping onto my final method. Um, there is something called interpolate. So interpolate use some method called method in linear algebra, and the limit direction I have specified is forward. Okay, I will try to run this and show you how this works. So how this interpolate works is, interpolate method use quite a lot of interpolation techniques and try to display some meaningful values wherever null values are present. Okay, if I run this, okay, now if you see so this generally if you see my destination values are still no blank. it hasn't filled any values into it. But if you look something into my age column where only my integers are present, it is trying to put in some meaningful values. Okay, if I go into this particular example, in my age column, Raj doesn't have any age and Gautam doesn't have any age. Right, so these two values are still blank, but in my data set it has returned me values based on few understanding of linear algebra. All right, so it has filled me 42, and again for Raj it has filled me 37. Okay, so this is how an interpolation technique works. So basically it will try to put in some meaningful value based on the values which are present in other rows. So this is how an interpolation technique works. Interpolation is one of the very strong method, but it is very rarely used in data science, but it is one of the very powerful method which can be used to populate values when you go to an advanced machine learning concepts. Okay, so yeah, this is all about various methods and how you can handle missing data with pandas. Yeah, that's all about today's session. If you have any queries, please put it in my comment section. I will try to answer that. Thank you.